Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving deep into SpaceX and their, well, let's be honest, pretty ambitious plans to get to Mars. We've got this really interesting article called Will Elon Musk and SpaceX Ever Reach Mars? And, well, it kind of digs into all these questions about, like, can they actually pull it off? What are the hurdles they're facing? And, of course, why is there a Tesla Roadster orbiting the sun right now?
Right. That's definitely a head scratcher for some folks. But what's really fascinating about SpaceX that they're not just talking about a quick trip like let's plant a flag and come back.
Yeah.
They're actually aiming to colonize Mars, to actually live there long term.
Wow. Yeah, that's a whole different level, isn't it? And
Yeah.
the article talks about how their approach is like super innovative. They're all about reusable rockets and using multiple spacecraft at once to make things more efficient, cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. One of their big innovations is the Falcon Heavy rocket. It's the largest they've ever built. And what makes it so unique is its ability to lift super heavy stuff into space, multiple spacecraft even, all at the same time, which, for a mission to Mars is absolutely crucial. Plus, it's got these incredibly powerful engines and that reusable design, so it's way more cost effective than those old school rockets.
I remember watching that first Falcon Heavy launch back in February 2018. It was from Kennedy Space Center, right? And they had, get this, Elon Musk's Tesla Roadster on board, playing David Bowie's Space Oddity as it launched. I mean, talk about an unforgettable entrance.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a moment for sure. Kind of genius marketing, honestly. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, SpaceX's mission is about way more than just a publicity stunt. It really taps into this fundamental human desire to explore, to push the limits of what's possible.
Absolutely. And that's what I think is so captivating about this whole Mars thing. The article, it really delves into why we're so obsessed with this red planet. It's
Yeah.
not just about planting a flag, right? The potential benefits, I mean, they're kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it.
Totally. Think about it. We could have way better communication systems, more accurate weather predictions, and I mean, who knows what kind of groundbreaking scientific discoveries we could make. Studying other planets, it helps us understand our own place in the universe, where do we fit into all of
It's
this?
like the ultimate puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And then there's that whole backup plan for humanity angle, which is, I mean, kind of a sobering thought. But if something catastrophic were to happen to Earth, having a colony on Mars, well, that could be the key to our survival as a species.
Yeah, that's some serious long-term thinking. But, let's be real for a second. Mars is roughly 140 million miles away. That's not exactly a walk in the park.
Yeah. No kidding. A one-way trip takes around 6 months. Just imagine the logistical headaches, the technology we need, not to mention, like, what would that even do to the astronauts mentally, you know, being cooped up for that long?
Well, absolutely. And the article does mention that some experts are pretty skeptical about SpaceX's ambitious timelines, let's call them that. Some folks think colonizing Mars is centuries away. Others are more optimistic, of course. It's a complex undertaking, no doubt about it, with a lot of moving parts.
It makes you wonder what drives Elon Musk. The article talks about his belief that colonizing Mars is crucial
Yeah.
for like the greater good, the survival of humanity in the long run. What do you think? Is he driven by like pure idealism, or is it more practical, or maybe a bit of both?
I'd say it's got to be a mix, right? I mean, he's talked about his concerns for Earth's future, how sustainable it really is in the long run. And he sees Mars as a potential solution, I think. But you can also see that ambition burning in him, that need to push the limits of what humans can achieve.
That's a great point. It's not just about getting to Mars, it's about pushing the limits of technology, our own ingenuity, and what we even believe is possible.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember SpaceX isn't alone in this whole endeavor. Space exploration, it's a team effort, really. You've got all these different agencies and private companies contributing, working towards a common goal. Think about all the robotic missions that have paved the way, the Mars rovers like Spirit, Opportunity, and Curiosity, and those missions like the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter.
It's amazing, isn't it? Those rovers just out there exploring this alien world, sending back all this data and those incredible images. And there are even more missions planned for the future, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a global effort, everyone working together to unlock the secrets of Mars, to see if it can really support human life.
It's exciting stuff, really gets the imagination going. But let's shift gears for a minute. What if we actually did it? Like, what would it be like to live on Mars? Could we terraform it, make it more like Earth? Imagine whole colonies on another planet.
Now that's where things get really interesting. It's like science fiction becoming reality, right? The physicist Wernher von Braun, he once said, the exploration of space is really the last of the great adventures. And this Mars mission, well, this could be the very first step.
Pretty profound thought. So, what stands out to you so far about this whole SpaceX Mars endeavor?
For me, it's the sheer scale of the ambition, and the potential impact it could have on humanity's future. It's mind-blowing. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's incredible to think that we might actually see humans walking on Mars in our lifetime. But then that brings up a whole other set of questions, like how would we actually live there? What kind of challenges would we face?
Well, that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive. So we were just talking about what it'd actually be like, to live on Mars. And I gotta say, it gets pretty interesting and maybe a little daunting too. Oh yeah, for sure. There are definitely a ton of challenges. And it's not just about the technical stuff, There are some pretty big ethical questions we got to think about too. Like, do we even have the right to terraform Mars? To change its environment, maybe even mess it up forever?
That's a huge question, right? And
The,
the article really gets into that whole planetary protection thing. Like, we got to be super careful not to contaminate Mars with Earth microbes.
exactly. We can't just assume we have the right to barge in and take over, especially if there's even a tiny chance of Martian life already existing there. Imagine if we accidentally wiped out a whole ecosystem just because we weren't careful enough.
Oh man, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
But even if Mars is totally barren, we still have to think about how we'd use its resources, right? We can't just go around pillaging another planet. So how do we make a human presence there sustainable without using up everything Mars has to offer?
That's where this idea of in situ resource utilization comes in. It basically means using what's already on Mars to support the colony, like extracting water from ice, figuring out how to make breathable oxygen from the atmosphere, even using Martian dirt to 3D print structures.
So becoming self-sufficient on Mars. That sounds like something straight out of Star Trek. But it makes sense.
Right.
We can't rely on constant shipments from Earth forever.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of SpaceX's technology comes in. Reusable rockets are just the beginning. They're also developing advanced life support systems, those closed loop habitats that recycle everything, and they're even looking into Martian agriculture.
Wait, hold up. Martian agriculture. Like growing food on Mars.
Yep. Exactly that. It's a massive challenge, obviously, with the thin atmosphere, no liquid water, and crazy temperatures. But researchers are experimenting with different techniques like hydroponics and controlled environment agriculture to see what's possible.
So we're talking about creating a whole new ecosystem on Mars. Like starting civilization from scratch. It's exciting, but also kind of overwhelming to think about.
It's definitely ambitious, no doubt about it. And to be fair, there are different opinions on how realistic all this is. Some experts think colonizing Mars is centuries away, while others, like Elon Musk, are a lot more optimistic.
That's a pretty big gap in predictions.
Yeah.
But regardless of the timeline, this whole thing represents a huge shift in how we think about ourselves, doesn't it? We're not just explorers anymore. We're becoming architects of our own destiny beyond Earth.
That's a great way to put it. And that brings up another big question. If we actually do create a colony on Mars, who gets to be a part of it? Will it just be a select few? Or will there be opportunities for all kinds of people to contribute?
And how do we even govern a colony on another planet? What kind of laws, societal structures, decision-making processes would we need?
Those are questions that need a lot of careful thought. We can't just assume that what works here on Earth will automatically work on Mars. It's a whole new world, literally, with its own unique challenges and opportunities.
It's like writing a whole new chapter in the human story. But to do it right, we got to learn from the past, both our successes and our mistakes here on Earth.
Absolutely. It's not about escaping Earth's problems. It's about taking the best of what humanity has to offer and creating a future that's, actually worthy of this journey. But hey, let's not forget about those practical challenges of living on Mars. The article mentions some pretty harsh conditions.
Oh yeah, those are hard to ignore. The atmosphere, it's super thin, mostly carbon dioxide, no oxygen we can breathe.
Right, and then you've got those extreme temperatures. I mean, we're talking swings that make Antarctica look like a tropical vacation.
And don't forget the radiation. Mars has a much weaker magnetic field than Earth, so it's constantly getting bombarded by cosmic rays and solar flares. That's got to be a major health risk for anyone living there long term.
Yeah, no doubt. Living on Mars would be a whole different ballgame than living on Earth. I mean, SpaceX and other agencies are working on habitats and life support systems to protect people, but it's still going to be a tough, unforgiving environment.
It makes you wonder what kind of person would actually sign up for that, you know? Leaving everything you know behind, facing constant danger, living in a cramped space. It's not for the faint of heart.
You'd need someone with a real pioneering spirit, that thirst for adventure, someone who truly believes in the mission, no matter what.
It reminds me of those early explorers, the ones who sailed across the oceans, facing the unknown with courage and determination. But this time, it's a spaceship instead of a ship, and a whole new planet instead of a new continent.
It really shows you the power of the human spirit, right? That drive to explore, to discover, to push beyond what we think is possible. Speaking of pushing boundaries, remember that part in the article about Elon Musk wanting to send a Tesla Roadster to Mars with David Bowie playing on the stereo?
Oh yeah, how could I forget? Definitely a bold move, and it got everyone talking.
It's like this whimsical touch that perfectly captures Musk's personality, and
Yeah.
his vision for making space exploration not just scientific, but part of our culture.
It's like he's saying, we're going to Mars and we're going to do it in style.
Uh-huh.
But beyond the publicity stunt, I think it shows how important it is to inspire the next generation.
Absolutely. Getting people excited about space, sparking their imaginations, that's key to building support for these missions. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe that Tesla will become a landmark for future Martian colonists, a reminder of the crazy dream that got them there.
I love that. A little piece of Earth culture on the red planet. A reminder that even when faced with these huge challenges, we can still celebrate our humanity, our creativity, that sense of wonder we all have. But let's circle back to the article's big question for a second. Will Elon Musk and SpaceX actually reach Mars?
Only time will tell, right? But one thing's for sure, they've definitely started a conversation. They've got millions of people thinking about this. Whether they get to Mars on their timeline or not, they've already made a huge impact just by pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible.
I totally agree. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. Imagine for a second that SpaceX actually pulls it off. They establish a colony on Mars. What kind of society do you think would emerge there? What values would be important? How would life on Mars be different from life on Earth?
That's a fascinating question, and it's one we'll explore further in the final part of our deep dive.
So last time we left off with this really big question, what would a Martian society even look like? Like actually building a civilization on another planet. It's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's a wild thought, isn't it? And the article touches on this too. It's not just about the technology and the engineering. It's
Yeah.
about creating a whole new society from scratch, which is, well, that comes with a lot of responsibility.
It makes you wonder, would we make the same mistakes we've made on Earth? Or could this be a chance to actually build something better, a society that's, more equitable, more sustainable?
That's the big question, right? Imagine a Martian society where conservation is built in, not just an afterthought, where everyone has to cooperate, collaborate just to survive. A place where scientific curiosity and that spirit of exploration, it's just part of everyday life.
I love it. It's a great vision. A society focused on knowledge and progress,
Yeah.
not, power or profit. But let's be real. Building a new world, it's never easy. There are going to be conflicts, disagreements, maybe even power struggles. How do you even govern a colony on another planet?
It's a huge challenge, and honestly, there's no easy answer. Do we try to copy Earth's systems? Or do we need something completely new? It's a debate that's already happening, among the experts.
And who even gets to decide? Is it the companies funding the mission,
Mhm.
the scientists and engineers, or the Martian colonists themselves? Seems like everyone's got a different perspective.
It's a tangled web for sure, and finding the right balance won't be simple. The article really stresses that these are conversations we need to have now, not after we've landed on Mars. We have to think about the ethics, the social impact of colonizing another world.
It's like we're writing a new chapter in human history and we have a chance to, get it right this time. But that means learning from what's happened before, both the good and the bad.
Absolutely. It's not about running away from Earth's problems. It's about growing as a species, creating a future that's, I don't know, worthy of this whole incredible journey we're taking.
The article focuses a lot on SpaceX, but they're not the only ones with their eyes on Mars, right?
Yeah.
Other space agencies and companies are working towards this too.
Oh, totally. It's a global effort. Everyone's contributing, learning about Mars, developing the technology to get us there. And that brings up a really important point. Collaboration. It's key.
It's too big a challenge for any one country, any one company to do alone, right?
Yeah.
We need to pool our resources, share what we know, work together if we want to make this happen.
Couldn't agree more. And imagine if that shared purpose, that drive to achieve something extraordinary, It spilled over into other areas. What if it inspired us to tackle Earth's problems with that same passion, that same level of cooperation?
Now that's an exciting thought. This Mars mission, it could be a turning point, not just for space exploration, but for humanity as a whole. What if it helped us solve climate change, poverty, global conflict, you know?
It's a tantalizing idea, and it really emphasizes how important it is to think long term. This isn't just about getting to Mars, it's about how that journey changes us, how we understand ourselves, our planet, our place in the universe.
It's about expanding our horizons in every sense of the word. And who knows what amazing discoveries are waiting for us along the way. New technologies, new ways of thinking, possibilities we haven't even dreamed of yet.
Exactly. It's a journey full of challenges, unknowns, but it's a journey worth taking. It could redefine what it means to be human.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've talked about the technical stuff, the ethical dilemmas, the societal impact, but at its core, this mission to Mars, it's about something much bigger.
It's about pushing the limits of what humans can do, exploring the vast unknown, inspiring future generations to, I don't know, be bigger, reach further, create a future that's both sustainable and, well, just awe-inspiring.
That's a perfect way to put it. Like physicist Wernher von Braun once said, the exploration of space is really the last of the great adventures. So let's embrace this adventure, ask the tough questions, work together, and see where this incredible journey takes us.
Because the future of humanity, both here on Earth and beyond, it might just depend on it.
And that's it for our deep dive today, folks. Keep looking up and keep exploring. Until next time.